What's going on, guys? Platimer Cards in the house, and today I'm going to be coming to you with my Scareclaw deck build. Now, I think this deck has insane potential, so I went ahead and made this deck, and honestly, it's really fun because I love pissing people off. This monster in specific, has great potential to piss people off. So, without further ado, let's get into it, guys. And of course, if you like what you see, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, let's get into the monsters. So, first of all, for the monsters, I like to run 3 copies of Scareclaw Astra. A lot of the Scareclaws are like this. You can special summon this card from your hand to your main monster zone adjacent to a Scareclaw monster you control or in its column. You can only special summon Scareclaw Astra once per turn. This way, your Scareclaw monsters in the extra monster zone can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of defense position Scareclaw monsters you control with different names. So, most of the Scareclaws, the way you want to work with these is just spam them out, go into a link or a synchro, depending on whatever extra deck monster you need in your situation, and then continue your combos from there. So next, I also like to run 3 copies of Scareclaw. Is it Balone? I hope it's not Baloney, I know that, but okay. So this is another level 3 beast. So its effect is you can special summon this card from your hand to your main monster zone adjacent to a Scareclaw monster you control or in its column. So again, if I normal summon one of these, I can special summon this or vice versa. And then its effect is once per turn, if your Scareclaw monster in the extra monster zone attacks a defense position monster, you can inflict piercing. But most of the time you want to link away with these anyway, so I don't know how useful these will be, but in some situations it does really help to get piercing damage in because your boss monster basically just flips everything. So or not flips everything, but turns everything to defense position. But next, I like to run 3 copies of Scareclaw Acro, and this thing is really cool as well because it lets you special summon itself. Again, similar situation. Its second effect is once per turn, your Scareclaw monsters in the extra monster zone gain 300 attack for each defense position monster you control. So it has potential to just get your boss monster tryhard to decent levels of attack. It already starts off with 3,000, but it has potential to get it up there, you know. Moving forward, I like to run 3 copies of Scareclaw Reichhart. Now, hopefully I'm saying that right. Right? Is it Reichhart? Whatever. I'm terrible with pronunciations. You guys know. If you guys know me, you guys know that. So this card's effect is you can special summon this card from your hand to your main monster zone. Yep, so that's the same. And then additionally, if this card is normal special summon, you can add 1 Scareclaw spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Then if 3 or 4 defense position monsters in the field, you can draw 1 card. So this card works great, 1 for draw power, and secondly, just to be able to search. So works great to search pretty much any spell and trap in this deck. Not all of them, because some of them are not Scareclaw specific, but it does work with a gigantic chunk of them. So, oops, I accidentally hit my camera there, guys. My apologies. I like to run 1 copy of Visa Starfrost. Now, this is actually pretty decent. So if this card is in your hand, you can target 1 monster you control with a different type and attribute than this card. Destroy that monster, so literally any of these cards. And then if you do special summon this card, you can only use the effect of Visa Starfrost once per turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make this card gain attack equal to half the original attack or defense of that monster. Your choice, whatever is higher. The way I like to use this the most is as a tuner, because it's a level 6 tuner. Mostly I like to use it to get into the extra deck. So if you manage to use it with something like Reichhart, you tune off, that's 10. So you can essentially get to Baron de Fleur. That's not something I own, so I use Psychic and Punisher, but for sure Baron de Fleur is a card that has potential within this archetype. So moving forward, I also like to run 2 copies of Rescue Cat. Now, Rescue Cat is pretty decent for this archetype. You already know how Rescue Cat works. It's just it has potential to get hand trapped. So if you can send this face up card for your side of the field to the graveyard to special summon 2 level 3 or lower beast type monsters from your deck to the field. The monsters special summoned this way are destroyed during the end phase. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's a new errata that also negates the effects of those monsters, but it's just a great way to get out 2 of your Scareclaws, because all of them are beasts except for this thing right here, Reichhart. So you can spam out 2 of them and then use additional ones in your hand in order to get a bunch more special summons out. Moving forward, I like to run 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. Now, in an ideal world, I would probably be running 3 of these, but I'm trying to keep this deck to 40. So if I'm running 41, I would probably run 3 of these. But now that I'm trying to keep it to 40, so just 2 seems to be fine for me, just because you can special summon them and then you can link off. The boss monster, again, is generic. It just takes 3 effect monsters, so it does work with these as well. next for the monster hand traps, I do use some other types of hand traps, but we'll get into those. Of course, I like to use 3 copies of Infinite Permanence. You can switch this out for essentially any hand trap you please, but, or sorry, I don't know why I said Infinite Permanence, but Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So if you can essentially switch these out for whatever you see fit, but in my opinion, Ash Blossom is usually the way to go in this situation. Then for the spell cards. So with the spell cards, I like to run 3 copies of the field spell for this archetype, Primitive Planet Reichphobia. Now, hopefully I'm saying that right. When this card is activated, you can add a Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost from your deck to your hand. So it can search not only your tuner, but it can also search any of your Scareclaw monsters. Monsters your opponent control lose 100 attack and defense for each defense position monster on the field. If there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. You can only use this effect of Primitive Planet Reichphobia once per turn. You can only activate 1 Primitive Planet Reichphobia once per turn. So as you see, this has potential to do wonders in this archetype, because not only does your boss monster just flip everything in your defense mode, if there are 3 or more monsters on the field total, I believe that includes yours and your opponent's, you can basically just destroy something. So it does help you get rid of certain monsters on the field as well. Moving forward though, I do like to use the 1 Terraforming just to search. It's a great card. There are decent ways to search this. I think you can search it with Reichheart, since it lets you add a Scareclaw spell or trap, but there's always an additional. I think yeah, I like to, if I get Terraforming to search Primitive Planet Reichphobia, I can then use a Reichheart to search something else, which I think is a little bit useful, you know. So that's why I like to use Terraforming. But if you feel like there are already enough ways to search it, I can completely see cutting out the Terraforming. I also like to run 3 copies of Scareclaw Arrival. Now this card is really good for this deck. This is insane. Target 1 Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. This is not a once per turn. Keep that in mind. The second part is, though, if a Scareclaw Link monsters you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, or effect, you can only use this effect of Scareclaw level once per turn. So I'm pretty sure, I've been testing it online, so I've been able to revive multiple times. So unless the online game is a little messed up as well, pretty sure you can revive multiple times. So if you link something off, bring it back, or if you synchro, you can bring it back. So it does work pretty well, just to extend. Next, I like to run 3 copies of Piri-Ria's Map. Now, of course, you pay half your life points to add a monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand. Now, I think most of your Yep. Okay, so it's just Reichheart, I believe, that has non-0 attack, but Acro, 0 attack, Astra, 0 attack, and Baloney, I like to call it Baloney, 0 attack as well. So you have ability to just search a couple different cards out, if I'm being honest. So it's definitely a good card to have in this deck. It's not like I know with certain decks is like you only have the 1 card with 0 attack, and so you're just searching that one over and over, but this one you have options, so it's something to think about. Next, this one I'm actually kind of experimenting with this, so feel free to switch this out and I'll give you a suggestion. But I'm using 2 copies of Level Limit Area B. It changes all level 4 or higher monsters on the field to defense position. The reason I'm using this is because just having something in defense position is very useful for this deck in general. It does work really well with some of the other cards that I have, but if you feel like it's not good enough, you can obviously run 2 copies of Scareclaw Alternative. Now, personally, I switch these out from time to time, but I feel like it's tribute 3 Scareclaw monsters for the rest of this turn. Your opponent can only special summon monsters in defense position. So this works really well because I would say the one problem this deck has is probably against Links, just because Link monsters don't go in defense position, and this at least stops them from being able to summon Links. But I think the tributing 3 Scareclaw monsters can get a little pricey sometimes, you know, for the cost. And then you can, during your turn, banish this card from your graveyard and inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each defense position monster on the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. So this does have potential for a little bit burn damage, but let's be honest, you're probably going to use it more for the just locking your opponent into defense position. So that is an option, definitely. So moving forward, I like to run 2 copies of Scareclaw Slash. Now, this card is pretty decent. So once per turn, you can target a Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost you control. It can attack while in face-up defense position this turn. So it does give you the ability to just get a couple more attacks in, you know, but most of your Scareclaws have 0 attack, so something to think about. Apply its attack and defense, whatever's higher, and the defenses aren't that high. However, Visa Starfrost does have potential with this because the Visa Starfrost can just keep climbing in attack. During damage calculation, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control a Scareclaw monster in the extra monster zone, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, negate that effect. So this card is great just for negations in general. But the one thing is, as a restriction, is that you have to be controlling one in the extra monster zone, which most of the time you will be. But if, let's say, on the off chance that you don't, it's kind of dead in your hand, which is why I'm not running 3. So I like to run 2. I honestly, maybe I'll consider running it at 1. I'll just have to experiment with this card specifically a little bit more. But that's just something that I may do in the long run. Next, I like to run 3 copies of Infinite Permanence. Infinite Permanence is super dope. You already know. Being able to negate, plus depending on how you use it, you can also lock your opponent out of one of their zones for the turn, one of their spell and trap zones. And then lastly, for the trap cards, I like to run 3 copies of Gorgon's Eye. Now, this card is insane. I think I came across this online. And it just works so well in this deck, and it's just like until the end phase, all effects of monsters on the field in defense position are negated. So as you know, this archetype loves to negate. Plus, I have stuff in here like Level Limit Area B, which is just automatically put them in defense mode. It's kind of like a Harpy's Featherstorm for this deck, I would say, and it just has potential to just shut your opponent down. So definitely why I like to use 3 of these. Moving on though, for the extra deck, I like to run 2 copies of the boss monster Scareclaw Tryhard. Now, I don't own a 3rd copy, but I think 2 is probably the best, just because so you can get into other types of combos. Now, obviously, it just takes 3 effect monsters, so it is generic. It's definitely a good card to check out. Must be link summoned. All face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense position. Oh, there we go. Unaffected by the activated effects of defense position monsters. Once per turn, if this card is in the extra monster zone, you can target 1 level 3 Scareclaw monster in your graveyard, special summon. If you do, add 1 Scareclaw monster from your deck to your hand, which is crazy because if you manage to get 3 of these off, you can special summon 1 from the grave, and then you can add the 4th one, because I think they're once per turn, special summoning effects, but then you can add the 4th Scareclaw monster, depending on what you end up summoning, to your hand. Then you can special summon that, and then you can go forth for even more combos if you wanted to. I think that's dope. You just have to be a little bit careful because I know they're once per turn. The special summoning effect is once per turn, but there are 4 different Scareclaws, I believe. If my math is correct, we got 1, let's just make sure, 2, 3, and we got 4. Yes, sir. So we got 4 of them. So, yep. So you can, if you really wanted to, do that. Plus, it just takes 3 effect monsters, so you technically don't even have to use Scareclaws in order to summon it. So that gives you more room to work with Scareclaw monsters. Next, I like to run 1 copy of IP Masquerena. Now, this is pretty generic, just mostly for the protection. Now, your boss monster is unaffected by things in defense position, but I wanted to, just in case of like links, and I've been coming across a decent amount of links in my opinion, so I think this is pretty decent. Just a thing to give your monsters an extra bit of protection. I like to run, of course, Access Code Talker at 1, and 1 copy of Appaloosa. These are just self-explanatory. You can get out monsters so easy in this deck, so I think it's necessary that you should run 1 of these, if not both of them, right? So because they each do OTK potential and then negation potential, so both of those are really good. I also like to run 1 copy each of Crusadia Spatha. I don't know how to pronounce this thing, but it's a good card. Suri Yuja Skuldred. 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 copy of Salamangreat Elmirage. Okay, so moving forward, that was it for the Link monsters. So next for the Synchro monsters. Now, we only have 1 Synchro, tuner monster in this deck, and that's Visa Starfrost. And if you really wanted to, you could run it at probably 2, just because it's pretty easy to special summon. But I tried to cover my bases here. So we have a level 4, and we have the rest are level 3s. So my logic was 6 plus 3 is 9, and 6 plus 4 is 10. So you essentially could use any level 10s or level 9 synchros that are generic. But I'm using Psychic and Punisher. Like I said earlier, you probably want Baron de Fleur in this situation. I just don't have the funds for it right now. And then I'm using Cloud Castle as my level 9. It's generic, 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner, 1 or more non-tuner monsters. And if this is synchro summon, you can target 1 level 9 monster in your graveyard, special summon the target. That one is not as prevalent, but obviously you can, if you run more Visa Starfrost, maybe run 1 or 2 more copies of different level 9 synchros. However, this is what I need. Level 8 or lower monsters cannot attack the turn they are normal or special summon. It's just another way to just calm your opponent down, to give them to not give them anything, not give them any room, not give them any room to operate or do anything. So, and then I run a couple Xyz monsters. One, I like to run number 41. Then I like to run one copy of Bush Dweller just for the negation, and then one copy of number 75. So anyways, guys, this is Plotter My Cards. I really hope you liked my deck, and as always, if you have any suggestions for improvement, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. This is signing out for the day. If you like what you saw, don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and oh my goodness, look at the time.
It's time to do